And you just don't get fulfillment out of it if you're just blah, 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 all this show, and then you come home to just nothing.
To an empty house of emotions that you don't even know how to handle.
And your own mind.
Yeah.
Which is the worst
to
be alone with.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Life Choices Podcast.
Yeah!
After 99 episodes, everyone hearing about the kid, TJ, now everyone gets to see who it is. So here we are, episode 100 at the studio with Birdman and the kid. There it is. Closest friend in the world for me, relationship that's been built over the course of about 15 years. Lived together for the past 4 as I come in and out of the country constantly, where basically I'm here for any given time for maybe maximum of 5 months of a year. So it's been pretty interesting. A lot of our viewers are quite aware of who you are because, you know, I do mention you in different stories and situations that have come past my life in the past 15 years. And the one thing that I actually talk quite a lot about recently is how I've switched my life to putting in the effort with my brothers since we have, I don't want to say grown apart, drifted apart. We just all have our own lives. And even though outside of our parents' homes, outside of our parents' house, we have lived together separately, me and my 2 brothers, or all 3 of us together. But the thing that I have admired greatly about you since I've known you has been your constant love and bond and relationship with your entire family.
Absolutely.
Your mom, your dad, you talk to them regularly. But how I've seen you live with one of your brothers before, actually 2 of them, and how I've constantly been in the truck many occasions when we call up Anthony to see how he's doing for the day, which you do regularly. So a lot of people, unfortunately, sometimes grow apart from their family and they just don't have that bond. What do you think kind of like instilled that in you from a young age?
Honestly, I think it all starts from mom and dad because they've just always been there to support us no matter what. They've just always been that rock for us, you know, and same with my 3 brothers. I got 3 brothers, Jeff, Jim, Anthony. I'm the 3rd. And I just don't know my life without them, you know. I've always talked to all of them constantly and vice versa. They're always calling me and it would just seem weird to not. It's just who we are. We've gone times, we've gone times it's like I haven't talked to them, but I normally talk to them every day for the most part. You know, I'll hope it always stays like that.
Well, I think it stays like that because of the effort. I see the effort from your side going to them because, you know, quite often when we're hanging out on the weekends or even if we're just chilling watching a movie, you're like, oh, hey, I should hit up my brother. And it happens. Occasionally, like we're around and Jimmy calls while we're in the truck or what have you. But usually what I see is the fact that you're putting out the effort. And a big thing, because you are much younger than me, but you're still above the age of what I feel the generation has lost the realization of the importance of family.
Oh, yeah.
Where I know Ed and Elaine, I know them quite well. They've stayed with us here before. And
those are my parents, by the way.
Yes. and they are just like my mom and dad, very family oriented. Both sets of parents, grew up in a time where we were all kind of brought up similarly, with a stern hand from dad.
Oh, yeah.
And a very loving, affectionate household when it came from mom.
It's the exact same on my side.
Since you have this huge bond with your brothers and even your nephews and nieces, when something has happened in your life, we're going to get into a bit more of an emotional side. What might have been the reasons? Because I remember a long time ago, we went out for lunch one time. You were at work and you said, hey, can you come meet me for lunch? There's been times where you have, I don't want to say separated, but you've kind of gone in hiding.
I did that once for a long period of time. And
Yes.
honestly, that was like 3 years ago, and I was just in a bad spot mentally. Just I can't even describe what it was because I just went silent for a little while and snapped out of it one day, and I'll just never do that again.
Well, thinking back on it, like when you went silent, what kind of like emotions were you going through that it prevented you from reaching out to them?
Man, I haven't even thought about this for a while.
Take a minute and think
You know
about
what
it.
I'm saying? Like,
Take a minute and think
I
about
gotta
it.
actually like dig back in the.
Absolutely, go back into the vault.
I just don't know if I was like ashamed. Like, I don't want to say ashamed. Maybe just embarrassed with like, I don't know, my lifestyle and I don't know. Like, I just like couldn't talk to him about. I'm just not even sure, you know. Like even to this day, I just went silent, and I know it like hurt them really bad, you know. And like that was probably even more why, because like the longer I went, like the harder it was for me to like explain myself probably of why I even went silent in the start. You know what I mean?
So the fact that you knew that you were hurting them,
like it's like I didn't want to like
by
face
prolonging it,
Yeah.
it made it even worse than the reason why you were actually kind of like avoiding everything that was going on.
Yeah, and it's like I still don't even understand it. You know what I mean? It was just I just got put in a weird spot mentally for some reason.
I mean, I can understand it because there's definitely been times, especially like when my dad was alive, where if something was going on in my life, I wouldn't make those regular phone calls to them because if I did, then questions would have been asked and I didn't feel like I may have had the right answer, or I just wasn't in a good place. And therefore, like, I know even to this day at 47 years of age, on occasion, if something happens, like, you know very well when I lose a job or get a job,
I've been there. Been there for you.
But when those things happen, like you're almost, like you said, you're a little bit ashamed, a little bit embarrassed to have to tell your mom or your dad at a grown ass age.
Yeah, even though you're grown, you like still don't want to. I don't want to say put them through that, but I don't know. Just
you don't want to disappoint them.
There you go.
And even though
you never want to disappoint your parents.
Of course not. And there's a little bit of understanding that they're going to worry about you, even though they shouldn't worry about you.
Even more.
Right.
Like, oh, this kid's lost his way. What's he going to do now? Why did he get fired? He's going to get like a good referral to the next job if they call. I mean, even like for you, like, you know.
Every time. And that's why, like, I know for myself, it's so important to me to call my mom regularly, like at least a couple of times a week, because I'm not in the same city as her, but
not in the same country as her.
Facts.
And
but
I know she misses you.
Oh, a ton.
Because she messages me on Instagram and stuff,
I know.
seeing how I'm doing. She's sending me pictures of her puppy, and
love it.
I'm like, she is so sweet.
Yeah. But it does come down to a bit of an embarrassing feeling, or a bit of a worry that they're going to be worrying about, you know, how are you going to get to the next spot that's good?
Yeah.
Because again, and I can admit this, I've lost multiple jobs for various reasons. And when that happens, I avoid calling my mom because I don't want to have that conversation.
And it's like, you don't even want to put them through any of that, because it's like, you don't want your stress to be their stress. Because it's like, you don't know, obviously you know what your mom is like going through, but sometimes you don't know, you know, like what she's thinking on the inside, or your dad's gone, but you know, it's just, I just don't want to add any stress to their life, because obviously they'll be worried for you more than they already are.
1000%.
So it's like, but then eventually you don't want to lie to them or hide it from them. But sometimes it's better that way.
Yes. And I do strongly suggest to people, because I do it very much so nowadays, is I try my best to live a life without lying. And I'm talking about even like the white lies. I expressed this before.
A little
about
nonsense.
Yeah, like even like when we tell stories about like our weekend, like, oh, I use this as a silly example, like, oh yeah, last weekend we were out on the boat, and oh my God, we each had like 24 beers and we had like 6. You know what I'm saying? Like even so like embellishing a story, I've gotten to the point of I don't even want to do that.
And that gets you nowhere either. Like, it's so silly.
Absolutely. And once you stop doing all those little bit of lying and whatnot, you like everything just gets fucking more clear and more easy.
And you don't got to keep up with it.
Exactly.
Like, that even stresses you out more. And then you lose it. You're like, oh, I thought you said this. Like, I did. It's like, if you just stick to your own script, you're good.
You're good. And it also shows a definite character or the type of character that you are. Like, we do know some people that their whole life is about embellishing and kind of making things bigger than they are. And it
It's all about
doesn't,
the show.
yeah, and it does not at all help anyone in the long run.
Especially when you come back home and you're by yourself.
Meaning,
I mean, you just don't get fulfillment out of it. And then you come home to just nothing
to an empty house of emotions that you don't even know how to handle.
and your own mind.
Yeah.
Which is the worst
Mm-hmm.
to be alone with.
So let's get back to this situation that I think a lot of people have dealt with in their past when they go through the down parts of their life and they're dealing with a lot of thoughts and a lot of emotions. How do you snap out of that? How do you get yourself back to a spot where things are better, things are good?
Like when I went through with my family, like you got to just suck your pride and just call. You have to just call them and just get over the scaredness of doing it, or you got to just do it. Yeah, you got to just put your fear aside and whatever your pride,
Ego,
or the situation. It's like just you got to just do it and talk through it. Mainly talking about it, even if it's not someone in your family. Just it's like something like I talk to you about everything. So and it's just like everyone's got someone in their life they can speak to.
I hope so. Absolutely.
I hope so too, actually, because someone actually might not. And
I just had that.
I don't know about your viewers out there, but I mean, let's hope they all do.
Right. And if you don't, I've said this before,
Hit the hotline.
100%. Because like we're very fortunate. I mean, we've created such a great bond, especially after the past 4 years of living together. We know that even in the worst situation possible, the other person will always be there on the other end of the phone.
Oh,
like you
100%.
and Stevie, I've said this before, like the only people that actually call and reach out and be like, yo, how's it going? What's happening? 100%. Yeah.
And I was probably one of the only ones that even called you happy birthday.
Out of my friends, I want to say, yeah, absolutely. But on that specific point is we're very fortunate that we have not just each other, but we have other people in our lives that we know we can call at all times. And if there is anyone out there that might not, in the description down below, you have my emails, our TikTok, our Instagram. You can DM me. You can send me an email. You can make a comment below any video. I check all of these things personally myself. I don't have other people looking or answering. That's right. It is a one-man show now.
That's all you need.
But the whole point is if you're out there and you don't have someone close to you, if you go through a tough time in your life and you need to talk to somebody, I am always here to help you. I'm always willing to listen to someone, or if you want some advice, if I've experienced something similar to what you've been going through, more than happy to do that.
Absolutely.
So you got yourself out of that situation, which is such a good point of view, which is eventually you're going to get to a point where you have to realize, okay, if I want to get out of here, it's on.
Yeah. Well, the thing that really got me out, it was my dad's birthday. And I was like, I've never not called him on his birthday or anyone in my family, period.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, man, he's going to want to hear from me. He's going to love it. I'm going to call him right now. So had to call him.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
November 15th, his birthday.
When you called him, it wasn't just happy birthday. You also had to approach the situation that you hadn't
spoken to him
for a while. Like, I mean, straight up, Jimmy, I think Anthony, and I'm pretty sure your mom all reached out to me during that time to just check in on you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, we weren't living together at that time.
I think we were.
Were we?
I think we were.
Maybe if it was only 3 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were.
And
no, I know for a fact we were.
Yeah.
Definitely
together in this house. I mean, I just remember the day where you were like, "Hey, dude, can you come meet me for lunch?" But yeah, your whole family had reached out to me separately on different occasions to find out, what's going on, and I can't say much because it's not my spot to say it. But
you didn't know.
I didn't know exactly what was going on.
In your eyes, I was.
Well, you were just doing you. You were doing you. I always see the phone beside you, and I've known you for a while. Like, if you don't want to answer the phone, you're not going to answer the phone. That's something I've respected out of you. Is like, if you want to have a quiet night where you don't want to go out, this was when we were going out. You just won't answer the phone.
Yeah, I
It's
got
just
no
done.
problem. Nah,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Which is interesting.
I've gone
most
out
people.
enough.
Yes.
I've done almost everything you can do.
I want to say you have actually.
Fortunately and unfortunately.
Yes. So the great lesson there is you really do have to take accountability for yourself, your own actions.
Everybody does. Eventually.
And if you are in a dark place
And if you don't, you're going to just run yourself to the ground.
you'll put yourself in a bigger hole that could be very dangerous.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And once you were able to talk to which was funny that it was your dad was the first one that you actually talked to.
It was weighing on me, like, what am I even doing? Yeah, once I spoke to him, and obviously him and my mom are together nonstop.
We won't get into like specifics, but life is full of ups and downs. And I know that you've not gone through a lot of difficult times in your life.
I've been fortunate enough to...
You've been fortunate enough to be fortunate.
Yes.
Right? Like you're very, very lucky individual. You're one of the only few people I know in my entire life that has not yet, until this past year, let's say, had to really deal with heavy things. I know like the job, not your fault, the job hasn't been performing as much as it should or has in years past.
Oh, yeah. But I haven't really had too many like hard times. I've had a pretty, I don't want to say easy, but I've had a pretty easy and fortunate run so far.
Right.
And life. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Love you.
Because of that, has it been difficult to deal with the difficult stuff?
A little bit, because I've never really been put in situations where I've had to really deal with any of that kind of stuff, and obviously just recently, I've had a few things pop up.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, the big thing for you is you've never had an issue with financial problems because you've always had a job. Mm-hmm. and you're one of the most generous human beings that I know. I mean, we used to run around downtown all the time and you never really worried about how much things cost, and you just like, on me. But then, usually in the summer months, because the very wealthy people in West Palm Beach, I guess, tend not to break their vehicles that often. And so the summer months, on occasion,
it's not in season.
The shop has been a little slower, but you've always managed, never been a big deal. But over this past summer, like I want to say early May, June, the establishment that you work at had really hit some hard times. They just did not have the clientele. For someone who never really had to worry, how did that make you feel? And how do you feel that you handled this kind of first time in your life of going through like what I would call a financial woe?
Like you said, I've never had to deal with anything like that because I've always had resources, we'll say. I just had to cut out certain things, realize like I don't need that. I don't have to do that. I don't have to go there. I don't have to. I don't have to go have wine or go do anything.
Mm-hmm. Fancy dinners.
Yeah, which obviously they're great, and I love it. And I love going with the people I go with, and certain people that I would do that with, they would normally cover it. But like now that like for that little stint of time that I was trying to I was cutting back, I just cut out a lot of shit.
You learned how to say no.
Yeah, and which is a real fucking powerful thing. If you could say no to certain shit, that's a start. That's a win.
It's a huge thing. It's what has helped.
You don't have to go to every little tiny thing because it'll run you down, run your bank account out. That shit adds up.
Mm-hmm. And when you learn how to say no to certain things, places, and people, you will, in my opinion, you'll also kind of start learning a little bit more about these people and about these places and things. Mm-hmm. And you learn about yourself, about how much I don't really need all that stuff and I don't really need to be spending all that money. And look what I'm gaining from it. I'm getting more sleep. I'm getting more me time to evaluate who I am. Mm-hmm. And you literally start to benefit yourself from it. And learning.
And it was always there from the start.
You just have to learn how to say no.
And just... Yeah, and I'm still learning. I'm not a fucking, trust me, I'm fucking...
I know. Trust me. I know.
That's like, trust me, I'm no means close to fucking...
But hey, we are all at a different part in our journey. And as long as we are understanding the path that we should be on. And as we go further on that journey, we learn more about ourselves and we can actually see where we do better and what it is that we're doing that helps us do better. And trust me, like out of all the years that I've seen you, I actually had this conversation with Jennifer Alley, the author of this book here, The Drama-Free Way.
Let me see that book.
I actually told her about you. We'll talk off screen about a bit
Good
more.
things.
Yes, very good things. But I told her how like
Drama-free way.
you are now at a point in your life where you are more open to listening to the idea of this type of lifestyle because you've finally gone through and going through some, what I would say, more
Hardships.
difficult times in your life, hardships. So in order for one to become so knowledgeable and so, I want to say, smart, you have to go through darkness. You cannot not go through darkness in order to get to it. It wakes you the fuck up. Absolutely. And because of everything that that's going on in your life currently, I can see that you're leaning towards more of the people who have the willingness to sit and listen and sit and talk, which changes your whole trajectory of your life, which is what I can visibly see. And one person that you've always had in your life, which thankfully to you, I have in my life, is Scotty.
Oh yeah, that's my.
And he's the man. He's the man. He'll listen. He'll talk. He'll really help you understand with where you're at.
Been there my whole life. Don't know life without the
I know, right? He's a very cool cat, and he's very
I
knowledgeable.
just talked to him yesterday.
Yeah, had good things to say. Good positive things.
Oh, he always does.
Yeah,
Even if I'm feeling blue, man, he knows how to turn it around. You know.
he's got you.
Oh yeah, and vice versa. I got whatever I'll do anything for him.
But that's the great thing about you as an individual is that you do have that, and it comes from your bond and your friendship and your love with your brothers, and especially from your mom and dad. You can see the kind of person, the household you were brought up in has created this individual. But for me, seeing you now for the past year, multiple things kind of being thrown at you as life does it, the way you're reacting to it all is absolutely amazing because you're reacting to it in the best possible way because you're not keeping it bottled up inside. You're saying no to things that would otherwise take you down the wrong path, and you're opening up to the individuals that you know will not be judgmental and that will absolutely help you in some way, shape, or form with either your mental, financial, even your physical health.
Yeah, I'm starting to I need to get the physical thing back going.
Yeah, in time.
But I've been eating good and thinking good. That can mess your physical up too.
That's the most important. Is if you're not good up here, the rest of it's not gonna stick together. Yeah,
and that's past month and a half was rough.
Mm-hmm.
So you know all the everything that's going on. But I'm good now.
Learning to say no, remembering the bond that you have with certain people, and leaning on them as much as they have leaned on you in the past is important. And like I said, you are you're in a better place than you think you might be, and everything else is just heading up for you.
I hope so. And it was tough to think that way like a month ago, but now I'm starting to realize just it is.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. Even if you really think you're kind of screwed, and everything does happen for a reason. Fortunately, I guess.
Yeah. And
sometimes it's bad things, but sometimes you need that to, I don't want to say wake up, but maybe realize you're fortunate, or just realize.
I mean, you said it though. It is wake up. Like you sometimes need to be like smacked on the head or taken into the depths of darkness to realize, holy shit, okay, big picture, and then figure it out. What you're doing. Oh, yeah. We'll get into all that on the next time that we sit down. When you smooth sail through the rest of the next few things that are coming into your life.
It's always darkest before the dawn.
100%.
So,
and we'll talk more about that stuff. Yeah. And we'll let the audience know on the next episode what that stuff is about and how you're going through it, and how you're gonna, everything that you've gone through, and how you're at a happier place, and how everything's working out for you.
Yeah, this is just one little speck of what's been going on in my life.
Just a tiny bit. Yeah. In a couple of months, we'll sit down again and we'll talk more about this. But
When you're back from your trip,
absolutely.
your month-long trip.
Month and a bit, yeah.
Oh, a month and a bit. Huh?
Well, it's
what is
4
a bit?
weeks.
That's a bit.
It's like 3 days longer than 4 weeks.
Oh, that's the bit part?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like 4 days shy of 5 weeks. That's it. But anyhow, thank you very much, TJ. I'm so glad that the Life Choices community could finally put a face to the name. Everyone out there knows, it's I want to say, out of now this being the 100th episode that Life Choices has done,
Which is crazy.
You've probably been mentioned in at least 90 of them.
Yes, you're right. I'm name dropped.
Name dropped in almost all of them.
In almost all of them. And most of them have no idea who I am, but most of their guests, they know who I am.
I mean, the ones that know our community, like our actual community, yes.
Yeah.
But the Life Choices community who have been following us now for just shy of 2 years, I want to thank the 1,250 plus members of our community for coming out. But now that they've met you, I'm happy that they've done that, because you have been a very important person in my life, in the development of me in the 15 years that I've been coming in and out of the port of Florida.
Likewise, buddy.
So thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
For all my followers out there, I want to thank you very much for coming back each and every week here on the Life Choices podcast. We'll see you next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Much love, everybody.
Adios.
Ladies and gentlemen.
You are now about
The Journey Life Choices Podcast.